No one expects their birthday to end with a public humiliation. But right now, under the blinding office lights of a towering corporate building that smells faintly of expensive polish and burnt coffee, Avery stands frozen in place, her trembling hands clutching the edges of a cardboard box stuffed with the fragments of her career. The CEO of the company, the same man whose signature appears on every contract she's ever proudly drafted, is standing only a few feet away with the kind of calm, controlled expression that slices deeper than rage ever could. Ethan Cross doesn't shout. He doesn't need to. His voice carries weight, the kind that turns a normal conversation into a storm that leaves everything wrecked in silence. "You can leave now," he says coolly, like firing her is as effortless as deleting an email. His tone isn't loud. It's sharp, dangerously sharp. Every head in the open-plan office is turned toward them, watching as if some kind of live drama is unfolding. No one dares to move. No one even breathes too loudly. Avery can hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. She's worked here for almost 3 years. She gave up weekends, birthdays, family dinners, and late nights just to prove she was worth the role. And today, on the one day that should have been about celebration, cake, and laughter, she's being discarded like she never mattered. Her birthday balloons are still tied to her desk, bright pink and gold, an accidental mockery of how cruel life can be. Her throat is tight, but she doesn't let the tears fall. Ethan's steel-gray eyes don't blink, his perfectly tailored black suit fitting him like power itself. He's the kind of man who looks like he doesn't make mistakes. The kind of man who knows everyone in the room would rather follow him than challenge him. "Ethan," she whispers, her voice shaking but clear. "This is a mistake. I didn't—" He cuts her off with a slight raise of his hand. "We don't have time for this." There's a flash of something in his eyes, something she can't name. But before she can say another word, he turns his back on her. Just like that, like she's already erased. Someone at the far end of the room lets out a shaky breath. Someone else starts whispering. Avery feels her chest caving in under the weight of humiliation. She grabs the strap of her bag and forces her legs to move. Not a single person stops her. Not a single voice speaks up. Outside, the city is alive with the sounds of traffic, honking horns, and the endless buzz of people chasing something, dreams, money, love, or escape. Avery takes a breath, but it doesn't feel like air is entering her lungs. It feels like a vacuum, like everything she built inside that glass tower just vanished in a single sentence. The wind hits her face, cold and unforgiving. She looks down at her phone. Notifications light up the screen, birthday messages from friends, her sister reminding her about their dinner reservation, her best friend asking what kind of cake she wants. She can't bring herself to type a single word. Back upstairs, Ethan is still standing in the same spot where he fired her. But now the empty space she occupied feels heavier than her presence ever did. His assistant walks over carefully, holding a folder and avoiding eye contact. "She's gone," the assistant murmurs. Ethan gives a small nod, but his jaw tightens in a way no one notices. He tells himself this was necessary. He tells himself he doesn't need to explain. But for the first time in a long time, something about the way her eyes looked before she walked away doesn't leave his head. Down on the street, Avery walks aimlessly, unsure if she should go home or disappear. She passes a bakery where a little girl is blowing out birthday candles with her family, laughter spilling out into the street. It hits her like a punch in the chest. Her phone buzzes again. This time, it's a message from an unknown number. The words make her stop in the middle of the sidewalk. "You were never supposed to be the one fired." She stares at the screen, her breath catching. Someone knows something. She looks around, suddenly aware of how crowded the city is. Faces blur, lights flash, but she can't shake the prickling sensation that someone is watching her. Back in the boardroom, Ethan's team is whispering among themselves. The numbers on the presentation screen mean nothing to him right now. His mind keeps replaying Avery's expression when he said those words, the way her voice cracked, not out of guilt, but betrayal. His chest tightens again, a feeling he's not used to. But this isn't just about guilt. This is about something he's been ignoring for too long. Avery steps into a nearby coffee shop just to breathe. She sits at a corner table, trying to stop her hands from shaking. The barista brings her a small cup of coffee she doesn't remember ordering. Her phone buzzes again. "They made him fire you." Her blood runs cold. She types back quickly. "Who is this?" No response, just the blinking cursor. Back at the company, Ethan shuts his office door, his team standing nervously outside. He runs a hand down his face, the mask of control cracking for just a second. He picks up his phone. One missed call from a private number. One text. It's not from her, but about her. "If you care about her, you need to fix what's coming." The words are like a knife twisting in his gut. Ethan Cross isn't a man who gets threatened. People don't do that to him. But this isn't a normal day. Outside, rain starts falling, soaking Avery as she steps back onto the sidewalk. She doesn't bother to shield herself. The city feels colder now. But underneath the shock, something else is building inside her, a pulse of anger. She knows she didn't do anything wrong. She knows someone set her up. But why her? And why today? Ethan walks toward the large window of his office overlooking the city, watching the rain blur everything below. For the first time in years, he feels something dangerously close to fear. Not for himself, but for the woman he just pushed out into the storm. He picks up the phone and calls his security head. "I want everything on Avery Scott, now. And I mean everything." Down in the rain, Avery's phone buzzes once more. "You're not safe." She grips the phone tightly. The world around her shifts, turning from a day of personal betrayal into something far more dangerous. Ethan doesn't know it yet, but firing her was the first domino, and every domino after this will fall faster, louder, and deadlier than either of them ever imagined. And as she walks into the dark street with rain soaking her hair and headlights flashing across her face, she realizes this isn't just about her job. It's about something much bigger, something that has already begun. The sound of the rain turns into a constant rhythm against the pavement, almost drowning out the roar of passing traffic. Avery stands at the edge of the street with her phone still in her hand, the message burning in her mind like a flare. "You're not safe." She wants to believe it's just some sick prank, but the uneasy silence between the raindrops tells her otherwise. She's not just angry anymore, she's unsettled. There's something in the air tonight, a shift, like the city itself is holding its breath. She takes shelter under a small awning, water dripping from her hair onto the concrete. Her mind races back to the last 48 hours. There was nothing unusual. She filed her reports. She attended the morning meeting. She even picked up cupcakes to share with the team for her birthday. But someone had already decided her fate before she walked into that building. Someone made Ethan Cross, a man who never bends to anyone, fire her without explanation. A car slows down across the street, headlights cutting through the rain. For a second, the driver's face is hidden behind the glare, but Avery feels their stare lock onto her. She steps back instinctively, her heart hammering. The car doesn't move. It just idles there. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it speeds away, splashing dirty water across the curb. Back in his office, Ethan is pacing like a caged wolf. His phone is pressed to his ear, his voice low but sharp. "I want surveillance footage from every floor. Check access logs. Find out who had clearance on her account." He listens as his security chief mutters on the other end. His jaw tightens. "I don't care how busy it is. This isn't optional." He hangs up and stares at the framed skyline beyond the glass. Avery wasn't just any employee. She was brilliant, methodical, trusted with things most people in the company never touched. She was the one person he could rely on when chaos hit. And yet, today, He let her walk out of the building like she was nothing. A knock on the door breaks his thoughts. His assistant slips in quietly, holding a file. "Sir, the finance department flagged something strange. There's a discrepancy in the Zurich account. Large transfers, signed off with her credentials." Ethan's head snaps up. "That's impossible." "She was the last to access the terminal," the assistant whispers. "There's also this." She places a printed email on his desk, an anonymous message claiming Avery leaked sensitive data. The evidence looks clean, too clean. Ethan leans back slowly in his chair. The kind of precision required to set this up isn't amateur work. This is a move, a calculated one. Meanwhile, Avery finds herself in the back of a cab, gripping the edge of the seat as the driver swerves through puddles. Her apartment feels miles away, and every shadow outside seems alive. Her phone buzzes again. This time, it's her sister. "Happy birthday. We're at the restaurant already. Where are you?" Avery stares at the text. She can't bring herself to answer. She doesn't want to ruin her sister's night with something she can barely process herself. Instead, she texts back a simple lie. "Running late. I'll be there soon." She's not going. Not yet. She needs answers. She scrolls through her messages, searching for anything unusual in the last week. Nothing. No weird calls, no strange emails. But that doesn't ease the knot in her chest. Someone set her up carefully, like they knew her entire schedule. As the cab stops at a red light, she glances at the car behind them. Same black sedan from earlier. Her stomach drops. "Can you take a different route?" she says quickly to the driver. He glances at the mirror. "Problem? Just do it." The driver turns onto a narrow street, but the sedan follows. Avery's pulse quickens. She fumbles in her bag for anything she can use as a weapon, but all she finds are lipstick, keys, and a crumpled cupcake wrapper. The driver notices the car behind them now. "That guy's tailing us." "I know," she whispers. Ethan's security chief finally calls back. "We found something." "Talk," Ethan orders. Someone cloned Avery's credentials 3 weeks ago. Not just her ID badge, her entire access profile. Whoever did this knew exactly how to bypass the system without triggering alarms. And sir, it was done from inside the building. Ethan's breath stills. Inside. "Run a trace," he says, voice dropping. "I want names." Back in the cab, Avery's fear starts to solidify into something sharper. She doesn't know who's behind that wheel, but she knows they're not just casually driving through the rain. She tells the driver to stop near a crowded subway entrance. She jumps out, water splashing up to her knees, and blends into the flow of people rushing down the stairs. Her heart pounds as she ducks behind a pillar. A moment later, the black sedan rolls slowly past the curb before disappearing into the night. She exhales shakily. Whoever this is, they're not just after her job. A few blocks away, Ethan is still in his office, sleeves rolled up, the knot of his tie hanging loose. He hasn't touched the expensive scotch sitting on his desk. His focus is locked on the incoming reports flashing across the monitor. Someone is attacking his company from the inside, and Avery is the perfect scapegoat. He doesn't know why, but the thought of her being out there alone right now, it bothers him more than it should. He calls his driver. "Get the car ready. I need to find her." Avery takes a seat on the cold metal bench of the subway platform, soaked through and shivering. The walls are plastered with faded posters and flickering ads. A train roars past, wind whipping her hair into her face. She's never felt smaller. But fear isn't the only thing rising inside her. There's defiance too. If someone thinks they can destroy her this easily, they've underestimated her. She unlocks her phone and scrolls to a contact she hasn't spoken to in months. Jake, a cybersecurity analyst she once helped out on a major deal. If anyone can trace these messages, it's him. She types fast. "Jake, it's Avery. I need help. Now." Ethan's car cuts through the city, rain streaking down the windows. He's not entirely sure what he'll say to her if he finds her. He fired her without listening. He didn't even give her a chance to speak. But something in his gut is screaming that if he doesn't move fast, she won't just be another name on a corporate exit list. She'll be in real danger. Avery's phone buzzes with Jake's reply. "Send me everything you've got. This number, the texts, everything." She forwards the messages immediately. Less than a minute later, Jake replies again. "This isn't random. These texts are coming from a ghost server, someone with resources. And they're close, Avery. Very close." Her chest tightens. She grips her phone, scanning the platform nervously. Upstairs, outside the subway station, a pair of black boots step into a puddle. The sedan is back. Ethan's driver brakes hard near the same corner. Ethan spots the black sedan from a distance, his pulse kicking up. He doesn't hesitate. He steps out into the rain, ignoring the fact that his shirt is getting soaked. His eyes search the subway entrance like a hunter tracking something he refuses to lose. Inside, Avery's train finally screeches to a halt. She stands, ready to disappear into the crowd, but a figure catches her eye at the top of the stairs. A man in a dark coat, watching her too intently. Her instincts scream. She doesn't wait. She pushes through the crowd, slipping into the train just as the doors slide shut. The stranger moves, but he's too late. Ethan reaches the top of the stairs a heartbeat later, catching a glimpse of her face through the closing train doors. "Avery," he breathes out. The train pulls away, leaving only the echo of the rails behind. He curses under his breath, pulling out his phone. "Track that car. Now." Avery presses her forehead against the cool glass inside the train, trying to steady her breathing. She saw him. Ethan. He was there. And if he was there, then something much bigger is unfolding than she imagined. Outside, the sedan follows the train line silently. Back at the company, Ethan's security team uncovers the first name tied to the credential breach. An employee Avery once mentored. Someone she trusted. Someone now missing from the building. And deep underground, surrounded by strangers, Avery can feel it in her bones. She's no longer caught in office politics. She's in the middle of a game designed to break her. She straightens up, water dripping down her sleeves, and whispers to herself, "Not this time." What neither of them knows is that this night, her birthday night, is only the opening move. And the people behind the curtain have already decided how the next few hours will end. The train rattles through the tunnel with a steady, metallic hum that does nothing to calm Avery's racing thoughts. Her soaked jacket clings to her skin as she sits against the cool window, trying to quiet the storm building inside her chest. Across the aisle, a man in a black hoodie taps his foot rhythmically, glancing up at her just a little too often. Every movement feels amplified now. Every glance feels like a threat. Her phone vibrates again, Jake's name flashing on the screen. "This goes way deeper than I thought," the message reads. "Whoever's behind this has access to restricted corporate servers. I traced the ghost signal. It's not coming from overseas. It's local. Someone inside your building or connected to it is pulling the strings." Avery's pulse quickens. Local. That means whoever set her up isn't just a random hacker. They're someone close. Someone who knows exactly where to hit her where it hurts. She texts back quickly, fingers trembling. "Can you track the location?" Jake replies almost immediately. "I can, but it's moving. And Avery, this isn't just about the company. You're caught in something dangerous. Don't go home. Whatever you do, don't go home tonight." Avery swallows hard. Her apartment suddenly feels like a trap. Above ground, Ethan leans against his car, rain pouring down in relentless sheets. The black sedan has vanished, but his jaw is set like stone. He's not used to losing control. He's built his empire by crushing threats before they ever reach him. But tonight, the threat isn't just at his doorstep. It's wrapped around someone he never should have pushed away. His phone rings. It's the head of security. "We found the breach," the man says. "It was routed through the account of Tyler Quinn. He's the only one who had access to Avery's private archive. And Ethan, he's gone." Ethan freezes. Tyler Quinn. A bright, eager employee Avery took under her wing when no one else believed in him. A kid with a clean record. A kid who shouldn't have been able to disappear this fast. "When did he last badge out?" Ethan asks. 30 minutes before Avery got fired." Ethan looks up at the dark sky, rain hitting his face like needles. Someone made their move right under his nose, and he handed them the perfect smokescreen by firing her. "Lock down everything connected to his access," Ethan orders. "And get me traffic cams. I want his face on every screen." Inside the train, Avery feels the car slowing as they approach the next station. She tenses. The man in the black hoodie stands up. So does she. When the doors slide open, she slips out quickly, merging into the crowd before he can follow. The platform smells like damp concrete and old metal, and the low buzz of conversation mixes with the rumble of another train approaching from the opposite direction. Avery ducks into a small corridor near the exit, pulling out her phone again. Jake's name pops up on an incoming call this time. "Avery," he says, his voice low and urgent. "Listen to me. This isn't just a frame job. This looks like someone's trying to bury something big, and they're using you as the fall guy. The transfers, they're tied to offshore shell companies, multi-million-dollar laundering patterns. This isn't petty corporate theft." Avery presses her back against the wall, rainwater dripping from her hair. "Then why me?" "Because you had the perfect access. High clearance, no disciplinary record, trusted by Ethan himself. If they bury it under your name, they get away clean." A sharp noise echoes down the corridor. She whirls around. "Jake," she whispers. "Someone's following me." She ends the call before he can answer, shoving the phone into her pocket. Footsteps are approaching. Heavy. Measured. Back on the street, Ethan pushes open the door of a surveillance van parked near the company's main entrance. Screens inside glow with live feeds from cameras across the city. One screen freezes. Tyler Quinn's face caught on a traffic cam near the subway station. "There," Ethan growls. "Zoom in." The image sharpens. Tyler looks pale, almost frantic. He's not walking, he's running. And he's not alone. A woman in a long coat trails behind him, talking into an earpiece. Ethan's chest tightens. This isn't just Tyler going rogue. Someone's controlling him. Meanwhile, Avery edges toward the exit of the corridor, her heart hammering in her ears. She catches a glimpse of the man following her, same black coat as the stranger she saw earlier at the station. His gaze sweeps the crowd like a predator scanning for prey. She slips through a service door into a maintenance stairwell. The metal door slams shut behind her with a deafening clang, and the echo bounces down the narrow staircase. She takes the stairs two at a time, desperate to get to the street. At the top, she bursts out into an alley slick with rainwater and steam rising from vents. The city feels different now, sharp, watching. Ethan's car screeches to a stop 2 blocks away as he gets the coordinates from security. "Station 47, the guard says through the comms. "We have visual on her. She's in the alley east of the exit." Ethan doesn't wait. He runs. The cold air bites at his face as he cuts through puddles. His polished shoes aren't made for this, but he doesn't care. For the first time in years, he's not thinking about boardrooms or profit margins. He's thinking about her. Avery turns a corner and slams right into a solid chest. Strong hands grab her arms instinctively, steadying her before she can fall. Her breath catches. Ethan. Rain beads on his face, his hair damp, his tie hanging loose. His eyes lock onto hers with a force that freezes the world around them. "What are you doing here?" she breathes, still clutching her phone like a lifeline. He doesn't waste time. "You're in danger." She yanks her arm back, anger flashing in her eyes. "No kidding." You fired me, Ethan, and now someone's following me. My name's on some kind of financial crime and... I know, he cuts in, voice firm but low. And I'm fixing it. Her laugh is sharp, bitter. Fixing it. You destroyed me in front of everyone today. I trusted you. His jaw tightens. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice, she snaps. You just didn't choose me. The tension between them is thick, almost electric, the rain soaking through their clothes, as if the night itself wants to trap them in this moment. But before either can say another word, a loud crash echoes from the mouth of the alley. A dark figure steps into view. Ethan moves instinctively, pushing her behind him. The man in the black coat approaches slowly, his steps unhurried. She's coming with me. Ethan's voice turns to steel. Over my dead body. The stranger smirks. That can be arranged. Avery feels the air around them shift. This isn't a mugger. This is someone who came prepared. Ethan's hand tightens around her wrist. Run, he whispers. She hesitates for half a second. But then they're both moving, sprinting down the alley, rain splashing up around their legs. The sound of boots follows close behind. They burst into the main street, weaving through cars and late-night pedestrians. Horns blare. Someone yells. Ethan doesn't let go of her hand. A bullet cracks the air. People scream. Avery's stomach flips as the realization hits. This isn't just a threat. It's an active hunt. Ethan pulls her into a parking garage, their footsteps echoing as they climb up the ramp. The stranger's boots are close behind, each step pounding like a countdown. They duck behind a pillar, breathless. Avery's hands shake, but her voice is steady. Who the hell are these people? I'm about to find out, Ethan mutters, pulling a small concealed firearm from his jacket. Her eyes widen. You've been carrying a gun this whole time? I don't like surprises, he says, especially not when they involve you. For a moment, their eyes lock again. There's fear between them, but there's something else too. A strange, unspoken tether neither of them can ignore. Footsteps. Closer now. Ethan gestures for her to stay behind him. He waits until the shadow rounds the corner, then steps out fast, slamming the man against a wall. The stranger growls, trying to fight back, but Ethan's grip is unrelenting. Who sent you? He demands. The man just smiles, blood on his teeth. You already know. Before Ethan can press again, the man twists violently and smashes the butt of his gun against Ethan's jaw. Ethan stumbles but doesn't fall. The stranger bolts toward the exit. Avery doesn't think. She grabs the nearest wrench from a maintenance cart and swings it, catching the man in the ribs. He grunts, stumbling forward. Ethan tackles him to the ground, pressing the barrel of the gun against his neck. Talk. Ethan growls, but the man only chuckles. Too late. She's already marked. A chill runs down Avery's spine. The sound of sirens grows in the distance, faint but approaching. The man uses the distraction to wrench free, slamming Ethan backward before disappearing down the ramp like smoke. Ethan curses under his breath, wiping blood from his jaw. Avery stands frozen, the wrench still in her hand, the words echoing in her head. She's already marked. The flashing red and blue lights finally reach the garage entrance, painting the wet concrete in harsh colors. But Avery knows this isn't the end. This is the beginning. She turns to Ethan, her voice low and steady. What the hell is going on? His eyes meet hers, and for once, Ethan Cross doesn't have the controlled, untouchable look of a man who owns the world. He looks like someone staring down a war. We're going to find out, he says. But whatever this is, it's a lot bigger than either of us. Outside, the city pulses with the sound of sirens and rain. Somewhere in the shadows, the black sedan waits again, its headlights glowing like eyes watching their next move. The night is heavy with sirens, the kind that make the city sound like it's holding its breath. Red and blue lights bounce off wet concrete, flashing against the walls of the parking garage like a warning neither of them can escape. Avery stands rigid, drenched and shaking, but not from the cold anymore. This is something deeper. Her fingers are still wrapped around the wrench, knuckles white, adrenaline pumping through her veins like a relentless drumbeat. Ethan steps closer, his breathing rough and uneven, a small trickle of blood running from his jaw down to his collar. It's the first time she's ever seen him look human, vulnerable, raw. He places a hand gently on her arm, not to control, but to anchor. "Avery, look at me," he says, his voice low and steady, like he's trying to ground both of them. "You need to get out of here." She shakes her head hard, water flying from her hair. "I'm not running. You fired me. You didn't trust me, and now someone's out there trying to kill me, and I have no idea why. I'm not walking away from this without answers." Before Ethan can reply, uniformed officers flood the garage, shouting commands. One of them, a broad-shouldered sergeant, locks eyes on Ethan's gun and raises his weapon instantly. "Drop it." Ethan doesn't move. "I'm licensed," he says sharply. "Drop the gun now." Avery steps between them before the tension explodes. "He saved my life," she snaps, voice ringing through the cold air. "There's a man out there. He was chasing us." The sergeant lowers his gun a fraction but doesn't relax. "We got the call about shots fired. We didn't see anyone when we pulled up. Let's get both of you to the station." Ethan grits his teeth. "No, this isn't something you can file a report on and forget. This isn't a mugger." The officer studies him warily. It's clear Ethan's reputation precedes him. People know who he is. Powerful men tend to get treated differently. But the sergeant doesn't back down. "Then you better start talking." Ethan exchanges a look with Avery. It's a quiet, unspoken agreement. If they let the police handle this alone, the people chasing her will slip away like smoke again. "Fine," Ethan says, "but we do this on my terms." 20 minutes later, they're inside a dimly lit interrogation room at the station. Avery sits on one side of the metal table, soaked clothes clinging to her skin, hair dripping onto the floor. Ethan stands against the wall like he owns the place, arms crossed, staring at the mirrored glass. His entire presence is a storm barely held back. An officer asks her to recount what happened. She tells them about the sedan, the texts, the man who chased her, the shot fired. But she can see it in their eyes. They're trying to fit her story into something simpler. A random assault, a misunderstanding. They don't see the threads pulling in the dark. Ethan finally steps forward, sliding a business card across the table with a name that makes the officer's expression shift instantly. "If you want to verify anything, call that number," he says. "This isn't random. Someone is targeting her, and if you don't move fast, your report won't matter when she ends up missing." The sergeant hesitates but nods slowly. "We'll run the plates from the sedan." "Good," Ethan mutters, already pulling out his phone. Avery leans back in her chair, exhausted but restless. "They don't believe me," she whispers. Ethan looks down at her, and for once his voice softens. "They will, but we're not waiting on them." Her brows furrow. "What are you planning?" "Finding Tyler before they do," he says simply. Outside the station, the storm hasn't let up. Rain hammers the pavement like it's trying to drown out the noise of the city. Ethan's car waits at the curb, its black paint gleaming under the streetlights. He doesn't ask if she's coming with him. He just opens the door. She hesitates for half a heartbeat, then slides in. She doesn't trust him completely, not after what he did, but right now, trust isn't a luxury. Survival is. As the car moves through the slick streets, she finally asks the question that's been clawing at her throat. "Why did you fire me?" Ethan keeps his eyes on the road. "Because someone sent evidence straight to the board. Evidence I thought was real. Wire transfers from your account. Confidential files tied to your clearance. It looked airtight, Avery. And you believed it." His jaw tightens. "I had to protect the company, everything I've built." She lets out a bitter laugh. Of course, protect the company. I was just collateral damage. He looks at her then, really looks. I didn't want to believe it, but I had no time to think, and now I know it was a setup. Too late, she mutters, staring out the rain-streaked window. But even as anger simmers between them, there is a weight in the air that neither of them can ignore, a quiet sense that whatever's happening is much bigger than betrayal. Ethan's phone buzzes. It's his security chief. We found Tyler, the man says. He used his badge at an abandoned warehouse near the river. Ethan's grip on the steering wheel tightens. How long ago? 10 minutes. Ethan takes a sharp turn, tires hissing on the wet asphalt. Avery sits up straight. Why would he go there? Ethan's voice drops to a hard edge. Because that's where they're keeping whatever this is tied to. The warehouse district is silent when they arrive, the kind of silence that sits too still, like the city itself doesn't want to be here. Rain drums against the rusted roof of the old structure. Ethan kills the headlights and steps out into the dark, scanning the surroundings like a man who's done this before. Avery follows reluctantly, her heart pounding louder with every step. Stay close, he says. Inside, the warehouse smells like metal and dust, a hollow echo in every step. Broken equipment and crates line the walls, but deep in the shadows, a faint light flickers. They move silently toward it, weaving between stacks of pallets. Then they hear it, muffled voices. Avery peers around a corner. Tyler is there, pale and shaking, tied to a chair. A woman stands beside him, the same one Ethan saw on the traffic cams. Her black trench coat glistens in the dim light, and her calm smile is more terrifying than a scream. Ethan's breath steadies. She's not just some hired gun, he murmurs. She's a fixer, one of the best. This just got ugly. The woman's voice is smooth, controlled. You should have kept quiet, Tyler. Now everyone thinks it's her fault. Isn't that neat? Tyler spits out blood. She didn't do anything. Of course she didn't, the woman replies with a smile. That's what makes her perfect. Avery's stomach twists. Hearing those words spoken so casually is worse than any threat. Ethan motions for her to stay hidden, but Avery grips his arm. We can't just leave him, she whispers. We're not, Ethan replies, but if we go in without a plan, we both end up like him. They wait for the woman to step away, answering a call on her earpiece. Ethan moves fast, silent, like someone who's handled danger before. He slips behind a stack of crates, taking position, eyes locked on the enemy. But before he can make his move, Avery steps forward, not recklessly, just enough to catch the woman's attention. Looking for me? Avery's voice echoes through the warehouse. The fixer turns slowly, eyes lighting up like she's just been handed a gift. Well, she says softly, isn't this convenient? The standoff snaps into place instantly. Ethan moves out of the shadows, gun raised. Let him go. The fixer tilts her head. You're late, Mr. Cross. This was never about letting anyone go. From the far corner, two more figures emerge, men in dark suits, armed. Avery feels her pulse slam against her ribs. She's standing in the middle of something far more dangerous than she imagined. The fixer smiles wider. You were supposed to disappear quietly, Avery, but now... She gestures casually. Now you've forced my hand. Who are you? Avery demands. The woman's eyes glint in the low light. Someone cleaning up a very expensive mess. Ethan steadies his aim. Then you're in the wrong building. The woman gives a slight nod. One of the men raises his gun. Everything happens at once. Ethan fires first, hitting the man in the shoulder. Tyler shouts. The other guard lunges forward. Avery ducks behind a crate as bullets tear through the wood, splinters flying into the air. Ethan shouts, Avery, go. But she doesn't run. She crawls toward Tyler, fingers fumbling with the ropes. Her hands are slick with sweat, the smell of gunpowder thick around her. Tyler looks up at her with wide, terrified eyes. "They're going to kill everyone," he whispers. "I'm not letting that happen," she mutters through clenched teeth. The fixer walks toward her slowly, unaffected by the chaos. "You're brave," she says. "I almost admire that." Ethan tackles the second guard before he can fire again, but the fixer is already moving toward Avery, pulling a slim, silenced pistol from her coat. Avery's fingers finally loosen the last knot. She yanks Tyler free just as Ethan fires again, forcing the fixer to dive for cover. "Run!" he shouts. They sprint toward the back exit, footsteps slapping against the wet concrete. The fixer's calm voice cuts through the noise behind them. "You can't run from this forever, Avery." They burst into the rain-soaked night, lungs burning, hearts pounding. A car engine roars to life somewhere behind them. Ethan grabs Avery's wrist. "We're not safe yet," he says, pulling her toward the car. She glances back at the warehouse one last time. That smile on the fixer's face. It's burned into her memory. Tyler coughs violently in the back seat as they speed away. "You don't understand," he gasps. "They're not just after the money. They want something else." Avery turns to him, dread curling in her stomach. "What?" His answer is barely above a whisper. "They want you." The car cuts through the storm like a blade, leaving the burning warehouse lights behind. But nothing feels safer. If anything, the night has grown darker. Avery's stomach twists as Tyler's words echo in the cramped car. "They want you." She glances at Ethan, whose eyes are locked on the road, jaw tight, knuckles white around the wheel. Every instinct in her screams that the night is far from over. Whoever orchestrated this isn't just after money, power, or revenge. They want something only she can give. But what? She doesn't know, and that uncertainty is worse than any gun pointed at her head. The rain slashes across the windshield, blurring the streetlights into long, distorted streaks. The city feels different now, hostile, alive, watching. Even in the back seat, Tyler leans forward, shivering but alert. "Avery, you have to understand. This isn't random. They've been planning this for months. They knew exactly how to manipulate Ethan, how to make you the scapegoat, how to isolate you." She swallows hard. "Why me? Why would anyone?" "Because you're you," Tyler interrupts, voice low and urgent. "You're smart, resourceful, cautious. They need someone like you to make it work. Someone who won't see it coming." Ethan glances at her in the rearview mirror, his expression unreadable. "Stop speculating," he mutters, voice rough. "We need facts, and right now our priority is surviving the next hour without getting killed." The tension in the car is suffocating. Avery's mind races through every possible scenario: office politics, corporate espionage, rogue employees, but none of them match the scale of what they're facing. This is bigger, much bigger. And the terrifying part? Whoever is behind it has already predicted their every move. They turn down a narrow side street, the tires hissing on wet asphalt. Ethan's phone buzzes with a secure line alert. He answers immediately. "Report," he demands. "Sir," Jake's voice comes through, calm but urgent. "I traced the ghost server again. The IP is hopping across multiple networks in real time, but it converges to one building downtown. Avery, that's where all the manipulation started. Whoever set this up, they're inside now, monitoring everything. They know you're on the move." Avery's pulse doubles. "Then why didn't they just take me already?" Jake hesitates. "Because they need you alive. And they're patient. Very patient." Ethan clenches the wheel tighter. They're making a mistake. Minutes feel like hours as they navigate through the twisting city streets. Every shadow feels like it's alive, every honking horn a potential threat. Avery's phone buzzes again, this time with another message from the anonymous number. "Stop looking. It won't help. She belongs to us now." She swallows hard, jaw tight. Ethan notices her reaction in the mirror. "We're not giving up," he says firmly. "We take control of this. No one owns you. No one owns Tyler. No one." They arrive at an abandoned warehouse district, the same kind of place where the fixer had staged her ambush earlier. Ethan slows the car, scanning the perimeter. He parks a block away, the engine idling, rain cascading down like a curtain. "Stay low," he whispers, pulling Avery close. "We move together and we don't split up." They creep along the wet pavement, shadows wrapping around them like predators. Tyler follows closely behind, fear and exhaustion etched into his pale face. Inside the warehouse, they find signs of movement. Footprints in the puddles, wet from the storm outside, leading toward a heavy steel door. Ethan motions for them to stay back while he examines the area. He notices cameras mounted high on the walls, small, almost invisible, wired into a network that pulses with light. "They've been watching us this entire time," he mutters, low enough only Avery can hear. Suddenly, a voice echoes through a speaker hidden somewhere in the rafters. Smooth, controlled, mocking. "Welcome back, Mr. Cross. Avery, I've been expecting you." Avery's stomach drops. The voice is familiar but distorted, like it's been run through a dozen filters. "Show yourself," Ethan demands, gun raised. A figure emerges from the shadows, a woman in a tailored black suit, face obscured by a hood. She steps forward slowly, every movement deliberate. "You don't understand what you've walked into," she says. "This isn't personal, it's necessary." Avery takes a step forward. "Necessary? You kidnapped Tyler, framed me, chased me across the city, and you call this necessary?" The woman tilts her head, considering her words. "Yes, you were always the key, the only one who could make it work. And now, you're here." Ethan steps in front of Avery, weapon steady. "Let him go. Now. This ends tonight." The woman smirks. "It ends when I say it ends." She gestures, and from the shadows, two more figures emerge, armed and trained. "You're outnumbered, Mr. Cross. And as for you," she turns to Avery, "your choices are gone." Avery's mind races. She's not just a target anymore. She's the prize, the linchpin. Her heartbeat hammers against her ribs, but beneath the fear, a fierce determination rises. "I'm not yours," she says, voice trembling but resolute. "I don't belong to anyone, and I'll stop you." The figures advance, but Ethan fires first, taking precise shots that disable one of the attackers. Avery and Tyler dive behind a stack of crates as bullets shred the space around them. Chaos erupts. Rainwater and sparks from damaged wires fill the air, echoing like thunder. Avery catches her breath, her hand steadying as she picks up a metal pipe from the ground. Tyler scrambles beside her, finally free from his earlier paralysis. Ethan moves like a shadow, calculated and relentless, taking down the remaining threats while keeping his gun trained on the woman. She retreats toward a control panel on the far wall, fingers flying over buttons. "No!" Ethan shouts. "Stop her!" But Avery reacts faster than she expected. With a surge of adrenaline, she charges, striking the woman with the metal pipe. The hood falls back, revealing a face that chills Avery to the bone, a face she knows from a corporate gala months ago, someone she never suspected could be this dangerous. The woman crashes into the panel, alarms blaring, red lights flashing. For a moment, everything freezes. The warehouse, the rain outside, the night itself. Tyler looks at Avery, awe and relief mingling. You saved us." Ethan lowers his gun slightly, watching her, an expression he doesn't often show flickering across his face. Pride, fear, and something else, unspoken. The alarms stop. The remaining attackers are unconscious. The warehouse falls silent, save for the rain beating against the metal roof. Avery takes a shaky breath, heart pounding. Is it over? Ethan steps beside her, scanning the room. For now, he says, but we're not safe yet. Not until we know who really orchestrated this and why you were chosen. She looks at him, rain dripping from her hair, soaked to the bone, exhausted beyond reason. Then we find out, she says, together. Ethan nods, his hand brushing against hers briefly. A small, almost accidental touch, but enough to send a jolt through both of them. There's tension, a connection neither can ignore, forged in fire, fear, and survival. Outside, the city glows faintly under the storm, indifferent to the chaos that just unfolded. But Avery feels something shift inside her. A realization that she's stronger than she ever knew, that the night's horrors have only sharpened her resolve. Somewhere in the shadows, the final pieces of the conspiracy are still moving, still plotting. But Avery, Ethan, and Tyler have survived the night, and they are no longer pawns. The storm begins to ease, the rain tapering into a fine drizzle. Avery looks up at the first signs of dawn breaking across the skyline. She's soaked, bruised, and exhausted, but alive. And as she stands there next to Ethan, she knows one thing: no one will ever take control of her life again. Not tonight. Not ever. The game isn't over, but this time, Avery Scott is playing to win. The night is theirs. For now.